The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everyone, I want to welcome you to the YSA Peace Corps webinar this morning here in DC. This is a Youth Volunteerism, Community Engagement, Service Learning, Peace Corps and YSA in intuitive partnership. Before we get started, I want to bring your attention to the right-hand side or the control panel that you see. If at any time you want to ask a question through the chat box, you can expand that and you can ask a question there. And then there should also be an attendee box where at the end of the webinar, what we're going to do is we'll give you a chance to click the little hand there and ask any questions, and then we'll unmute you so we can have a discussion then. So again, if you have any questions, you've got the chat box there, and then at the end, we'll go to the attendee box so you can click your little hand there and you can ask any questions that way. All right, so we're going to do some introductions first. My name is Chris Wagner. I'm the Director of Partnerships at YSA. I've been with Youth Service America for about 4 years now. I'm also a returned Peace Corps volunteer from Thailand, 2002-2004. And anytime after today you have any questions, feel free to send me an email. It's cwagner@ysa.org.
Hi guys, I'm Rebecca Levy. I'm the Manager of Global Partnerships here at YSA. I've only been here about 6 months, and so I recently came back from being a Peace Corps volunteer in Morocco. I was a youth development volunteer there from 2013 to 2015, and if you have any questions at all, feel free to reach me at rlevy@ysa.org.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Jessica Rushing. I'm currently a youth development volunteer here in Morocco as a third-year extendee. If you have any questions for me directly that you don't ask here, you can email me at jessicaarushing@hotmail.com.
Hello everyone, my name is Karen Scheuer and I'm a Youth and Volunteerism Specialist at Peace Corps Washington. I'm a returned Peace Corps volunteer from Honduras. But my role is really to support youth initiatives and volunteerism, and so I'm delighted to be able to partner with Youth Service America today to host this webinar focused on Global Youth Service Day. As I think many of you know, youth development, and in particular youth as resources, youth who are problem solvers and change agents in their community, is a priority area for the Peace Corps, as is volunteerism and promoting volunteerism in the communities where Peace Corps serves. So Global Youth Service Day is a natural partnership for us, and it's a great opportunity for volunteers to work with community members and especially engaging youth to jumpstart volunteerism efforts in their community. And there's lots of great tools that we're going to talk about today to do that. But if you have any questions about our volunteerism initiatives or how to work more effectively with youth as resources in your community, feel free to contact me anytime. That's what I'm here for. Thanks.
Okay, so I want to introduce a little bit about YSA. At YSA, we believe in youth changing the world, working with partners around the world, including Peace Corps. YSA helps young people find their voice, take action, and make an impact on vital community issues. The big idea about YSA is that young people they have eyes in the community, they know their community, they're motivated to be problem solvers in their community. And so YSA's big mission and big ideas is that if we aren't engaging youth to help solve community problems and giving them those opportunities, we're missing a great opportunity to basically help future leaders come together. We basically support our mission 4 different ways. The first one is through mobilization campaigns, and so the one we're going to focus on today is Global Youth Service Day, which will be April 15th through the 17th this year. We also have small grants, so after the webinar, feel free to go to ysa.org and look at the grants. We do have grant programs in Latin America, Disney Friends for Change, and then some other different grant opportunities in other places, so definitely check that out. We also have different resources and trainings. The one that we're gonna talk about, several of them today. All of them are free for download. We're also happy to connect after GYSD through working with anybody that would like to do a webinar or any other type of training with us. Just let us know. And the fourth way we support our missions through awards. So Everyday Young Hero, which is a way that we recognize a young person each week. But we're also, big on, we've got 15,000 likes on Facebook, 14,000 Twitter followers. So, after today, if you've got a blog, you want to share some stories, pictures, that kind of a thing, we are more than happy to put it up on the YSA blog and share it through our social media. So, like I said, the big day of service for us, our mobilization campaign is Global Youth Service Day. This year it'll be April 15th through the 17th. Let me say a quick word about the dates. We understand, some communities may have local holidays. It may rain on that day. This weekend may not be a good weekend for you in your country. Basically, what we like to say is as long as it happens somewhere around April, we totally still want you to be part of Global Youth Service Day. So we'd love for you to do at least some kind of activity on one of those days. But if you can't, we totally understand. Sometime in the month of April is fine with us. Global Youth Service Day has been around since 1988. We talk about it as the largest youth service event in the world. Last year we celebrated it, each year we're in about 125 countries. And so we work together with, again, Peace Corps, youth clubs, NGOs, schools, adult mentors to address the world's most critical issues and change your communities. Again, the big idea from our point of view is the best type of service project is a youth-led service project. And that's not always the case. Sometimes you may be working with an environment NGO and they already have their project planned. But if you guys as Peace Corps volunteers or staff members working with volunteers, our resources will take you and the volunteers step by step through the process of organizing a Global Youth Service Day project, which can then, of course, be used for any type of, you can use it at any point after Global Youth Service Day. And I guess one more thing about this, we don't focus on a specific issue area. Again, the big idea is young people through the investigation stage, going out into their community, mapping out opportunities, finding out what the young people are passionate about, and letting that lead what the project is. A Global Youth Service Day project can be 3 young people working on a community awareness project on pollution, or it could be 50 young people working together to clean up a local park. We don't put any type of restrictions on any of this good stuff. We also recognize young people as 5 to 25. If that's different in your country, of course, that's totally fine. I know in some countries and cultures it goes up to 40. So we say 5 to 25, but by no means should that limit you in any kind of way. Last year, we had over 6,000 projects in 114 countries. The ROI was about $21 in service. We engaged over 400 youth volunteers. And if you're new to Global Youth Service Day and Peace Corps, through at least the last 4 years I've been here, and then long before that, each year we've had Peace Corps volunteers participate in Global Youth Service Day. 2 years ago, we had a great event on the mall. The Peace Corps Director, Carrie Hessler-Radlett, was there. So we've had a long time partnership again with Peace Corps. She came and spoke at our mall event. And the coolest thing, I think, is that Harris Wofford is on our board. We've worked with him at least since I've been here, and I know years before. So he's a big partner of YSA. We're actually we're excited. He's got a bio documentary that's coming out here pretty soon. But again, this is part of our long-standing relationship with Peace Corps.
Hi guys. Thank you, Chris. So like I mentioned, I'm recently back from Peace Corps in Morocco, about 6 months now. And while I was in country, I actually did GYSD projects both years that I was there in the springtime, but very little knowledge of YSA and all the great resources. So now that I'm here back in the DC side, I want to really share with you guys some of these great tools that we can give to people who are in country, different types of resources, getting your project mapped out correctly on our GYSD map. So if you go to GYSD.org, this is a great place where you can map your project and get different resources, tips, tools, and even lots of different social media resources in many different languages. Some of the elements on the site include project ideas, discover other projects around the world, social media messaging and tools, our blog, and like I said, translated resources. Another great thing we're going to share with you today, if you see on the right-hand side of your screen, it says Handouts, and we've uploaded 5 handouts for you all that you can download right now or after the webinar, and we will also make these available on our website. The first handout is the V2 Action Guide. This is the Peace Corps volunteer guide that I actually used when I was in country. It's a great resource for getting people you work with involved in being volunteers. The second resource we have is our Youth Changing the World Toolkit. This is actually available in 8 languages, from Arabic to French to Spanish to Portuguese to Italian, and a couple more. And we're always looking for more opportunities to get it in even more languages. This is a great resource that you could use with a counterpart in your community. I know I worked at a youth center when I was in Peace Corps Morocco. This would be a great curriculum that you could take through a youth club with, maybe a month or 2 before GYSD, really get the youth involved with service learning and coming up with an idea for what they want to do for their GYSD project.
I'm going to jump in here a little bit because Rebecca and I have talked a lot about, at least from my point of view, I really wish I'd had Youth Changing the World Toolkit as a volunteer in Thailand. It's my favorite resource at YSA. And I would just add, I think if you're working with teachers, it's something that you could model for a teacher. So you could take a group of young people step by step through the process of investigating a community issue, doing research, planning the project, developing a communications plan, all of those pieces, and then model it for them, implement the project, get youth involved in being leaders. And then as you leave, one of the things we talk a lot about is sustainability, and we've got another program later we'll talk about that. But it's a great thing that you can then leave with the teacher is here's what we use to do that activity. Yeah, since I've worked here, I've always thought that's my favorite resource.
So the Youth Changing the World Toolkit and also these other 2 toolkits are on our website, ysa.org/resources. And these other 2 resources, we've included Classrooms with a Cause as a handout, but Semester of Service is also available on our website. These are great curriculums for a teacher. So if all those education volunteers out there, these are great curriculums that you could use with a class. Classrooms with a Cause is a shorter curriculum, probably a 2 to 3 month session, whereas Semester of Service would be the longer semester version, or a 4-month service. And our education team has worked really hard here at YSA to make these very great curriculums, both with a facilitator guide and also a student guide for the Classrooms with a Cause. And the Classrooms with a Cause is available in 3 languages, and Semester of Service is only currently in English, but hopefully in the near future, more languages. Additionally, we have a lot of translated resources in regards to GYSD on our website. All of our logos are in a multitude of languages and can be found at gysd.org/promote, as well as project toolkits and promotional tools. So now we'll hear from Jessica, who will be sharing the best practices Peace Corps Morocco volunteers have learned during GYSD events in the field.
Hey guys, so I really just would like to share how Peace Corps Morocco really made some great successes in regards to volunteerism and participating in GYSD. So in 2014, we had a huge year for volunteerism here in Morocco. It was really the first large effort we made to participate in GYSD and then carry on our volunteerism efforts afterwards. In 2014, we held over 30 GYSD events, which was a massive increase from the 3 events we had the previous year. Among these events, we had over 800 youth participants and over 100 youth leaders, which is a great success for us. And thanks to the GYSD website and how you can map out your events ahead of time, we actually had local contacts or locals here in Morocco contact us about specific events requesting to help us, just requesting to volunteer their own time. So that was also something that was really exciting to see, that it wasn't just us having these events, but that locals were seeking how they can get involved. We really stepped in 2014 to participate in GYSD, and focus on volunteerism because our DPT saw this great potential for us. So we created 2 work groups that really focused on volunteerism and how we could assist PCVs in country however needed. So since GYSD 2014, we've continued to not only participate in this event, but also find ways to include volunteerism in activities throughout the year. And after talking with a lot of PCVs, the idea of creating this volunteerism event seemed really daunting. How do you create this when you don't have a lot of experience yourself in a large-scale event? So we created a toolkit that helped PCVs with ready-made lessons, how to incorporate volunteerism into camps, which we have here every school holiday. And that really helped people kind of unburden themselves on having to create things from nothing. And it seemed to a lot of PCVs here that having this toolkit and participating in GYSD was much more doable when they already had these resources available. And so now, instead of just this one-day event like we did in GYSD 2014, now we're focusing on incorporating volunteerism into existing things or creating a volunteerism club that leads up to this larger culminating event for GYSD this year. Next slide, please. So one of the primary resources that I mentioned is a toolkit, and the link to this toolkit here, you can see it here if you'd like to access that. This toolkit is really a spectrum of service models and options that PCVs can choose from to hold a volunteerism event, incorporate into a camp setting like I mentioned, or already existing activities, even in English class. We didn't really want to reinvent the wheel constantly, so we provided a lot of resources that fit into our Moroccan youth development context, which also helped take the pressure off PCVs to create their own activities. So I highly recommend accessing this toolkit, see if you can use this in whichever country that you're in, and just make use of it. Next slide, please. So what we walked away with and what we've learned is that having some sort of toolkit or resource really helps volunteers. Some of us are not so great at creating events from nothing. And so just having something people can look at and then change up or mimic exactly however the need is, it's really helpful. So why would we want to just constantly recreate things versus capturing these tried and true activities for PCVs to use? We also realized that it's a great place to collect PCV experiences and lessons learned, and something that we can continually update and share over and over. In addition, we also learned that having local champions was extremely beneficial. They understand the culture, they understand the area we live in better than we do, and so it's really just a benefit to us to have champions behind us and working alongside of us. So going forward, we focus a lot more on volunteerism now here in Morocco than what we have in the past, or at least when I first arrived. So GYSD is such a great opportunity for us to continue working on volunteerism, but it also helps complement the strategic goals we have in regards to volunteerism. Next slide, please. So moving forward, Peace Corps Morocco continues to apply lessons learned from our first GYSD experience and then last year, and how can we incorporate that into this year. Our biggest area of improvement, as I've mentioned, isn't only participating in GYSD, but it's also incorporating volunteerism into these activities that we already have, which we didn't seem to really be doing before. These can be such a great place to, again, incorporate volunteerism and then start that process now that then leads up to a culminating celebration or larger event on GYSD. So for example, if you have an environmental club, you can start talking about volunteerism and the importance of that, start incorporating it into your club, and then on GYSD, you can have a community-wide trash pickup, or you can do art projects for recycled trash, and then post those around town or in some place so the whole community can come and celebrate what the youth have done, maybe even give others ideas. Also, moving forward, we want to springboard into further action. So what other resources can we create our work group to assist PCVs in volunteerism going forward? So we have our toolkit, but what else, how else can we help? As I also mentioned, that having champions and community organizers is a huge benefit. And I love that YSA is now doing this, because we always want to work towards sustainability. And sometimes as a PCV, we can work on volunteerism, but who's working on it once our service ends? So having these wonderful community organizers, it really gets other people on board, locals who are going to remain once our service is done, and they can continue carrying on the volunteerism theme in the community. So two things I highly recommend, just as a personal piece of advice, I guess, for myself, is to utilize YSA service learning curriculums. They are so beneficial with ways that we can incorporate volunteerism into our own communities in whichever country you're in. But also, they really help our volunteerism efforts, but I also would recommend to sign up for the YSA emails. They have such great ideas. It's a great way to motivate people in the area of volunteerism and really inspire people in different things that we can do within our own communities. So those are maybe two pieces of advice for myself that I have found to be very beneficial personally. So thank you, guys.
Thanks so much, Jessica. We loved hearing about your experience in the field. One follow-up note, there was a question in the questions box about a clickable link. So actually that toolkit that Jessica was talking about is available for download as one of the handouts. It's called the 2014 GYSD Morocco Toolkit. So hopefully you guys can all download that and use it there. I know I personally used it when I was a Peace Corps in Morocco, and I really appreciate all the hard work that the volunteerism committee did in Peace Corps Morocco.
So if you, again, look at your panel there, you should see a handout box, and there should be 5 resources: the Morocco Toolkit, Classrooms of the Cause, Peace Corps 2-pager, which we're going to get to, V2 Action Guide, and then the Youth Changing the World PDF. And then again, any of the other Youth Service America resources we mentioned today, plus many others, are available at our website for free as a download.
Great. Thank you, Chris. So just to sum up what Jessica said, one great thing I learned about GYSD also while being a PCV from my personal experience was to fit GYSD projects into things you were already doing with youth in your community. For example, in Morocco, the camps were a really great fit. Those happen in the springtime. There's a lot of young people involved, a lot of young leaders, a lot of young people who are interested in volunteering or do projects you're already doing with young people, for example, at a boarding school or with associations. So now we're going to talk about the fun stuff, the reporting. So we are RPCV, so we know about the VRF, and I promise you that reporting your GYSD project is easier than the VRF. It's only 2 steps, so what we ask you to do is either you can do it or a young person you work with, map it out. Tell us what your project is going to be. So you can go to gysd.org, and that is where you will map your project. And a very cool thing we're doing this year is we're aligning all of our GYSD projects with the new UN Sustainable Development Goals. If you don't know about these goals, these are 17 goals that were set by the UN this past September, and they're very all-inclusive, and they're hoped to be achieved by 2030, excuse me, sorry. And here, 2013 already happened. So here at YSA, we believe strongly that these goals will not be achievable without youth involvement. So we're counting on you and the awesome young people you work with around the world to help us achieve these goals. So after you map out your project, it's up to you. It's your turn and the youth's turn to execute this amazing project that you're doing in your community. And then the final step is report your results. So we ask everyone to fill out a simple impact report. Some things that we're going to ask for are how many volunteers participated, what were the outputs, how many people benefited, and we'd also love with you to share us any stories that we could share on our blog, as well as pictures from the event. And another next steps after this webinar is our GYSD Community Partner Program. This is a program that I run here at YSA. To find out more information, you can go to ysa.org/about/partners. A great thing about the Community Partner Program, this is a great way to make your GYSD and your youth development work in your community sustainable. These are local organizations can join our partnership program and continue your GYSD work. Currently, we have over 250 GYSD community partners in 70 countries around the world. It's a simple registration process. For all you Latin American countries, we do send out a lot of our messaging and monthly newsletters also in Spanish, and we send out a monthly newsletter also in English, sharing grant opportunities, additional resources, and it's a great way for community organizers, both national, global, and local, to have visibility around the world.
I'm going to add one more cool thing with the Community Partner Program. We just signed up for Grant Station, which we're opening up to our lead agency program, another program, and this Community Partner Program. Basically it's a service that collects different types of grants. And these grants they vet so that these are real grants, and the community partner will have a username and password. They'll be able to search for grants. There's also some cool resources on how to develop a grant strategy, grant writing, those types of things. And the idea of the Community Partner Program again is if you guys participate in Global Youth Service Day, work with your organization to become a community partner. When you return home, hopefully it's something that organization can continue. And that's been part of our goal in putting it together, is thinking about Peace Corps in that way, and how we can help volunteers as they transition out, hopefully continue with, the organization can continue with the work that you were doing while you were there.
Thank you, Chris. So our last slide is just this two-pager that you can now download and take with you to your community or use as a resource to explain to people what GYSD is. This explains both the Community Partner Program that we were talking to, as you can see, the free access to Grant Station, and then also great ways to utilize GYSD.org. There's about 10 simple steps that we recommend to use to make sure you have a great GYSD project this April, as well as our resources that we have online on our new, actually we just launched a new learning center. It's very similar to Blackboard. It's called Cornerstone, and all of our resources are available there. Like I mentioned before, the Youth Changing the World Toolkit, and then those two classroom curriculums. And just to wrap up, I really want to thank you all for taking the time and spending 30 minutes of your day with us. If you have any further questions, definitely contact us anytime on our web through our emails, cwagner@ysa.org and rlevy@ysa.org. Also, feel free to like us on Facebook @Youth Service America, and our Twitter handle is @Youth Service.
So before we take off, we wanted to open up for any questions. Again, if you look at the attendee panel, there's a little hand there. If you raise your hand, I can unmute you, and you can ask any question you might have. Also, Tamara had a question if Peace Corps volunteers report their activities at GYSD and at the respective VRFs, would that count as double counting, or is it fine? I'm going to assume it's fine, because we're using our numbers for just GYSD, and then I would think you still would want to report it with the VRF to show the impact you're having as a Peace Corps volunteer.
Definitely. We are separate organizations, and we ask separate information. And like I said, the impact report is very simple. It won't take as long as a VRF reporting. It takes about 10 minutes to fill out, and we'll ask you to do that probably within the couple weeks after GYSD. Yeah. We usually leave that open for a while, but we ask most reports to be in less than a month after the activity is completed.
Another question here. Is can these slides be accessed in a PDF form anywhere? So absolutely, anyone that's registered for this webinar, if they attended or not, will receive a YouTube link. So you can share this with either the volunteers you work with or with your friends, organizations you work with. And then included in that email with the YouTube link will include let's say a hyperlink to get the slides, and we'll probably include, I think we can probably include hyperlinks for any of these PDFs we have listed here too.
As we wait for questions, I want to give a big thank you to both Jessica and Karen. Jessica all the way out in Morocco, and then Karen here at Peace Corps headquarters. Thank you guys so much for partnering with us and doing this webinar with us today.
All right. Well, I don't see any hands coming up, and if you do have a question and you don't want to actually verbalize it, but you'd like to type it out, go ahead and do that now. But if we don't have any questions here in a minute, we can take off and get going about our day. So Karen, we've got I'm sorry, not Karen, Jessica, we've got a question here for you.
Sure.
Cool, you're there. All right, you're not muted. Good. What are some examples of volunteer youth projects that were done in Morocco? Well, Rebecca too.
I'll let you go first, Jessica.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Great question. So one of I think the one I did, I'll speak to that one first. I did a large trash cleanup, and it actually fell within a spring camp when the youth are on holiday. So we had an English camp where we incorporated lessons from Monday to Thursday that spoke about volunteerism, why it's important. We even pulled some of the activities from the IYF life skills curriculum and presented those. And then we led up to Friday, which had a larger event where we picked up just over 4,900 pieces of trash. And what we did is we grouped the youth and had somebody tally how much we picked up. So we made it even a competition amongst the youth. And the awesome thing was the community we were in, locals saw what we were doing. They would come out and ask us why we were picking up trash. It somewhat turned into an education session as well. And then later we even had locals come out and assist us, which was really awesome. Rebecca, do you want to talk about your activity?
Yeah, of course. So my final year in Peace Corps Morocco, I did a lot of work doing health testing. So we did blood pressure testing and also eyeglass testing with eye adjusters. And a lot of kids I worked with at the Dar Shabab, which is the youth center in Morocco, were really interested in this work and came up to me and said, hey, we'd love to do this in our smaller village. So we worked with them and some doctors, and they organized everything and learned how to do these simple health tests. And they organized all the women in their villages, and we did about 1,000 different health checkups from blood pressure to eyeglass testing. And the kids did all the testing. So these were high school students, and they were working with their grandmas and grandpas and talking about health and how to stay healthy. And it was really amazing to see how excited people were to see these young people taking a leadership role in the health of the community.
One thing I forgot to mention is after our camp and our big trash cleanup, the youth were so inspired, not just by what they had accomplished, but the fact that they rallied community members to come out and help, that they decided amongst themselves to create an environmental club that met every Saturday. So every Saturday they got together amongst themselves and tried to tackle some issue in the community, which was really great to see that they just weren't going to come to camp and leave it there and then go on about their lives. It really impacted them, which was awesome.
That's great, Jessica, because one of the new questions that just came up was how sustainable were the projects? And so I love taking that idea as that, you did a project, and from that, the youth created an environment club. So that's something that's going to continue after, when you return home. And again, I want to stress that the idea of the community partner program is that once a month we send a newsletter out to the organizations that's got youth development stories, grant opportunities, resources, toolkits, things like that that we find that would be useful to any organization working with youth. And an organization, you know, it can be an NGO, but it can be just a youth club. It doesn't, we're not asking for any type of certification. If it's a group of young people or a group of teachers or a group of adults who mentor youth, you know, that has a name, we're more than happy to include them as a community partner. Again, they'll get a monthly newsletter, access to GrantStation. We'll also recognize them on the website. And the only requirement is that they do a Global Youth Service Day project. We don't care how big or small it is, it doesn't matter. And if they fill out the impact report at the end of Global Youth Service Day, they're automatically in for next year. So the idea is a Peace Corps volunteer could work with this small group, our big group, become part of the community partner program, show them the newsletters, work some of that with them, and then when you do go home, they're still members of this organization. And so that's kind of the big idea and what we're shooting for. Ooh, some good questions.
Great. I'm going to tackle this question that just came in from Kate. It looks like it's about glow camps, and I did 2 glow camps while I was in Peace Corps Morocco. So let me read her question out loud, and then I'll see if we can answer that. So it says, thank you very much. I have a question about youth camps. This summer we are planning a glow camp or even a practice glow camp. Maybe not a technical glow camp, but using the community to glow with similar activities and a focus on youth leadership and gender equality. Do you have any advice whether or not it's best to focus on only female students or male students as well? Have you had experiences where only having females or males went better or worse than expected? So I can talk from my experience in Peace Corps Morocco. Like I said, I did 2 glow camps in my community. This was something I was really passionate about, working with young girls, and we had some great older female university students that were interested in being counselors both years, so they were able to lead the sessions. I was the organizer and helped get money through a SPA grant, but it was all locally run. I personally, Peace Corps Morocco was a great location just to have a female-only camp. In our cultural context, it was parents felt a lot safer sending their girls with me for an overnight week, knowing that it was just females. We had all-female cooks, all-female leaders. Even when we had presenters from the community, it was always just females. So it was a lot safer, and people were a little more comfortable at night. Girls could feel more comfortable, let their hair down. We could do fashion shows, all sorts of fun activities that wouldn't have been possible if we had a co-ed camp. On the other note, I also camps are very popular in Morocco, and I went to many camps that were both males and females. Definitely it's important if you have male campers, young boys, it's also very important to have male staff members and vice versa. I think that's just very important because of gender roles in each community. It's very different, but always respect the cultural norms in that sense. And then I know a concept that has started also in Morocco are the bro camps. So those are boys respecting others, I believe. So a very similar camp model to GLOW, but for boys, teaching them how to respect women and be just good peer advocates for their female counterparts. So I think you just really have to talk with your local counterparts, find what's the best fit for you, what type of associations or organizations are going to sponsor you. And I think I wish you a lot of luck in your success with the GLOW Camp. I know those kids that you work with will probably come next April. Those will be great young females or males to work with to do a GYSD project. I know all the girls I worked with closely through the GLOW camp model were also kids who came to my youth center and also were very active in planning different service events in their community.
Jessica, anything to add?
No, I don't actually have personal experience with a GLOW camp. We're trying to get one kicked off. Unfortunately, as things happen, we keep pushing it back up more and more because of community needs. But hopefully we'll get it done here in the next, actually during Global Youth Service Day. It'll be during the same time frame.
Oh, cool. We would love a blog, and we would be happy to post it.
Yeah.
One more question here. Is there a way we could contribute translations of these resources in our host country language for future use? Absolutely. In some of the resources we have translated, some of them are in the works. But if you see a resource that you really like, that you'd like to see if you could translate, we would be more than happy to set that up with you. So just send me or Rebecca an email, and we can definitely discuss further. Period. Okay. So one of the questions that we kind of missed earlier, sorry, Emily, is do any of your resources have information guidelines for peer education? Huh. That's a good question. I mean, I would, well, there's two things. One, we have a great Senior Director of Education, Scott Gansky, who we would love to put you in touch with. He's been doing service learning for years now. He was head of service learning in Texas, and he's actually responsible for creating a lot of the education resources we have. The second is that, you know, Youth Changing the World Toolkit, Classrooms with a Cause, a lot of what the philosophy is behind that is it's the teacher or Peace Corps volunteer or youth organizer facilitating discussions and setting up questions and activities, but working as a facilitator so that it's the youth leading that process. So, you know, in that sense, I think it's built into the curriculums. But obviously this is more of an amateur answer than an expert answer, so I would be happy to get you in touch with Scott, and if this is something you want to explore with him, we're happy to set that up for you. Okay. Well, we don't see any other hands up, nor do we see any other questions in the question box. So I think we're going to sign off from here. Again, you have Rebecca and my email address. We can also get you probably in touch with Jessica, I'm sure, after this if you'd like to talk to her. And we thank you for being a part of the webinar. Again, we are looking for we're always looking for ways to include Peace Corps more. So if you have any ideas for us in your country, if you're interested down the road in doing some type of Skype training with one of our resources, we started to do those where we'll Skype with a group of people and go through a resource. We're more than happy to do that. And again, we would love to see projects from you guys on Global Youth Service Day. Register them on the map. If you're feeling like an all-star, definitely any type of blogs, process, youth sharing their stories, cool pictures. Again, one of our tenets is recognizing young people as leaders, and so we're happy to share that good stuff too. So we're going to sign off. Rebecca, anything to add?
No, thanks all for joining, and have a good GYSD.
All right, cool. Again, you guys will be getting a YouTube link, PowerPoint slides, and a copy of these handouts too here probably in the next couple of days. All best.